Let's be honest, crawling the internet and indexing websites is very useful, but it can also be expensive, and it doesn't have to be. We just launched 3 new endpoints that can handle the heavy lifting at a fraction of the cost. So today, we're going to walk through how to crawl a full website, search the internet, and map every URL on a domain. And for that, I built a small demo app so you can see them in action. Then we'll break each one down by using the API playground in the Browserless.io website. Let's jump into the demo. All right, so we're basically going to run this with node server.js, and it's up and running. So on the left side, we have the JSON that we're gonna run with this REST API. So you'll see all the fields like max depth, limit, scrape options, and I left a bunch of comments below of more things that you can try out. So let's run this. You can see on the right side, there's like a simulated terminal that's showing you every request that's being done. You'll see these GET requests, which are actually pinging this crawl request. So we're able to follow along the progress of the page being crawled. Cool, it says it's done and it was able to scrape 20 pages, which are all of these. If I click on view, it's gonna open the markdown of that site. We'll go into this deeper later, but this information is not in the response directly. It's actually in the external storage. But we'll look into that later in this video. All right, let's move on to search. I'll clear the terminal and then run this request. Again, I left a lot of comments that you can use for this request. But basically, the query is AI video generation, and the sources will be web, and we just want to limit it to 10 results. And here we go, we have these 10 results. And if you click on the read button, it's going to use the scrape endpoint to fetch the information on that site, which is all of this. You can define what type of sources you want. So I'll just change this to images and then change the query to Nike shoes, and I'll click on search. And there we go. We get a bunch of images back of Nike shoes. Isn't that awesome? You can just inject this directly for your use case. All right, last but not least, let's go on to map. This endpoint is very useful because it returns all the URLs that are on a site, and we have a bunch of options here. For example, if you want to include the sitemap, if you want to skip it, what's the limit of results you want, and I'm just going to leave it as default to 20, and I'm going to run this now. Cool, and as you can see, it returned 20 URLs. Now I'm going to change the limit to 100 and click on run. Sweet, and it got a bunch of information. So this is really useful if you want to feed in an LLM. You can just give it a website, it'll find all the links, and then you can scrape all those websites to gather information. Now what happens if I change the sitemap to skip? It's not going to consider the sitemap, and theoretically, it should return less results. Yep, and just as I expected, you can see there's only 42 URLs. All right, now we looked at this demo. Let's go to the API playground and see each one a little bit more in depth. So I'm logged in here, and if you don't have an account yet, don't worry, we have a free plan and you don't require a credit card to get started. Once you're logged in, you'll be on the home section. So just navigate to the REST API playground that's on the left panel. All right, so the crawl endpoint is already selected. I'm just gonna type in browserless.io. And if you click on this button, you can configure the request body. You'll see things like limit, max depth, max retry, scrape options, formats you want it to return. I'll just leave it as is and click on run. You can see that it's updating us with the progress, so it's polling every 2 seconds. If I click on one of these, you'll see the markdown and the JSON. In the JSON, you'll see there's a content URL field. This is the storage I was talking about before. So the actual markdown of this website is located in the storage of this cloud. So this is very useful for LLMs. If you plug it into MCP, it does wonders for your agents. You can even download the markdown as so, and it'll give you all the information. Or you can click on JSON and download the JSON file that will give you all the data. All right, let's move on to the search endpoint. So I'm just gonna use the query Nike discounts. And I didn't fiddle with the parameters, I just ran it as is. You can see a bunch of links, and the JSON, it'll return the title, the URL, description, and the position of relevance. All right, next up is the map endpoint. Let's say you want to feed docs into an LLM. We'll point to docs.browserless.io and see all the URLs that are relevant. You'll see a bunch of relevant URLs on our documentation. And once again, if you click on this button, you'll be able to change the request body. Things like search, limit, the sitemap, or proxy location. And that's basically all there is to it. These 3 endpoints are a few tools that our MCP has, but has many more endpoints available to it. So I really recommend that you try out our Browserless MCP, and there's more information on how to set that up in the video description. If you want to read more on our docs or the Open API, You'll be able to see our schema and all the options available for these 3 endpoints. Alright, that's it for today. We went over the crawl, search, and the map endpoint. Those 3 cover most of what you need when you're crawling or indexing sites. All of them are in the docs and the links are in the description below. If you have questions, please drop them in the comment section, and if you like this video, please hit the like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.